The corporate files. Fear and a cold. All is mental. Thoughts equal cause. Experience equals effect. Let's try to apply these ideas to get an understanding of how it might play out in the workplace. First, understand that everyone teaches through their expressions what they want to be real to them. If you want your fear to be real to you, that's what will roll off your keyboard in a variety of forms and, of course, out of your mouth. Now, let's not judge that right now, good, bad, right, or wrong. To get out of fear, one has to change their mind. But the fearful don't even want to be told that because they actually want their fear. So, this message, for example, is going to sound extremely offensive to somebody who wants their fear. People who want their fear want to believe that something can happen to them in life that isn't their choice. Okay? Again, don't condemn them for this. There's no point in that. That won't help. But recognize that when someone's afraid, they really have no interest in not being afraid. They've held on to that idea. Now the mind has to loosen, and to loosen, it's got to rest. It's got to settle. It's got to sit still for a little bit. And that can be very difficult, especially when the mind is frenetic. Frenetic states are very common with fear. All right. It's almost like the vibration's really high, and then boom, it gets higher as soon as someone tries to bring in information. We call that light, but basically information, clarifying information that gives them a reason to not be afraid. Fear actually has no mind of its own. It gets all of its power from the believer. All right. It's as if you've turned on a subroutine in your identity program, and until you turn it off, it's just going to keep running. Okay, so when a person chooses fear as a legitimate way to relate to their life, to themselves, it affects everybody, all right, because they will only see people through that lens. And whether it's extreme or minimum, it doesn't matter. It blocks them from seeing other people. It blocks them from having harmonizing and productive relationships. Ironically, fear becomes like a comfort blanket for the fearful, and they'll fight to protect it. And I think I'm kind of repeating myself here, but I want you to get this idea very clearly about fear. They will fight to hold on to it. They will fight to justify it. They will try to make their world your world. All right? But I don't find fear comforting at all. So that's my cause, and I'm experiencing the effect of it, which is happiness. But for the fearful, I find myself feeling compassion. Should I ignore them instead? Should the fearful have the right to govern other people's lives, what they do and what they can and can't do? We might consider that the CDC is just an idea, and I'm referring to the Centers for Disease Control. It's an idea like any organization, and it is staffed by ideas. People are ideas. The CDC is a former client of mine, so is the Chinese government. They're just like you and I, people with choices. Some might want to choose fear, some might not. And what is the TV but yet more people with producers arranging and expressing their preferences, what they want to be real to them, then declaring it the news? Well, that's true. It is their news, or the news to them. Is it yours too? If yes, you'll be afraid. No surprise, right? Cause, effect. Thoughts equal cause, experience equals effect. You need not blame the media or the CDC or the World Health Organization or whomever slash whatever. Blame is a waste of energy. It is a diminishing process internally. All right. So it's just going to close you up. It's not going to give you that creative mind that you need to get out of the fear space or to help anybody else out of it. Introspection could be helpful by all participants in the Earth so-called pandemic experience. The difference between the fearless and the fearful is simple. The fearless choose what they will allow in their minds. The fearful accept what anyone tells them. They'll drink poison as long as it is labeled medicine. For some, it takes considerable courage to look at one's belief system and challenge it. For others, perhaps not so much. It matters not where you grade yourself to be along some invented spectrum about this. The idea is to take personal responsibility for your thoughts, for your belief system. So when the Marine Corps, the U.S. Marine Corps drill instructor, yells at the recruit and says, "You don't love your country. You're not qualified to be a U.S. Marine," he's trying to discover whether the recruit would accept his proposal or not. Okay? That's an identity proposal he's making to the recruit. If the recruit buys the proposal, the recruit will be more afraid. Each recruit has a choice to accept that message as their reality and march off in the personal shame that can accompany that belief, or reject the idea entirely. I rejected the idea because it had no value to me personally. It would therefore not be my cause, the cause of what I choose to do or not to do. Thoughts equal cause, experience equals effect. Those who are afraid want to be. It is that simple. You get to be you. If fear is what you want to be, that's your right. But to others, such a choice might seem stupid. That doesn't make you personally stupid, unless, again, you choose to see yourself as stupid. But from the perspective of the fearless, it makes your choice to be afraid completely uninteresting. How would you, fearful person, coach the fearless to relate to your choice? I doubt you can even answer the question, and I'm not picking on you. I'm really not. I do understand what it means to be afraid. I've been afraid. I get it. I can't think straight when I'm afraid. Would you have the fearless bow down and worship your fear? Or perhaps would you consider for a moment that they care about you as if you were them? And they might be trying to actually give you a hand, a mental hand out of the fear. Many think it's all about what you do or don't do, but that's not the whole picture. What you do comes from what you think. You and you alone are responsible for what you think.